By the end of this video, you're going to have a step-by-step guide to request a credit increase from Capital One without a hard credit check. Whether you want more credit for free travel, cashback, or you simply just want more credit to increase your credit score by lowering your credit utilization, aka what you're spending versus what Capital One is offering you, then requesting a credit increase is the smartest thing that you can do right now. I'm going to share the same strategy that took me from a $3,000 credit limit all the way up to $40,000 in just a few months. But before we get into any of that, I need you to smash that subscribe button. I upload a video 3 days a week to help you make more money, save more money, and raise your credit. Now, for starters, we need to understand why requesting a credit increase is smarter than actually applying for a new card. Well, when you apply for a new card, you're gonna hurt what's called your average age of accounts, and you're actually limiting the amount of credit that Capital One can offer you on your current credit card. Well, why is this? Because Capital One is going to limit the amount of credit that they offer to a single person, no matter if you have 1 card or 10 cards. Secondly, Capital One is one of the best subprime borrowers to have on your credit report. What do I mean by that? They are known for being the best starter credit card and the best cards to rebuild your credit. You probably all know someone or have had the Capital One Platinum Secured. I had it myself as my first credit card ever, and they're just the best stepping stones. I mean, once you have a Capital One credit card on your report, it unlocks new doors for the Apple credit card, Chase credit cards, and even American Express cards down the road. And with the launch of the new Capital One Venture X, who I actually applied and got approved for, Capital One is expanding into the luxury travel market. What do I mean by this? If you've been to the airport recently, or if you've been walking around town, just like where I live in Tampa, they have what's called Capital One cafes. Free coffee, discounted breakfast, and it's pretty good. And if you're on the airport, you're going to start to notice Capital One lounges. They're doing this to compete with American Express and to compete with Chase Bank on the higher level. So this is another reason why having a Capital One credit card is worthwhile. And if you haven't already, here's exactly how to request a credit increase without hurting your score. And I must warn you, the last part of the video is by far the most important, because I'm going to share 2 ratios that most people mess up that's going to cause you to be instantly declined if you skip over them, which is 1, how much income to put per month, and 2, how much rent and monthly credit card to spend to put on the application in order to be instantly approved. First things first is setting up your Capital One account. Whether you're using the mobile app on your phone or you're using the computer, we need to make sure you're setting it up correctly. After you log in, you want to go to the settings and you want to look for the income and employment section. You need to have this updated. For the income, you need to have it updated, and here's a little trick that most people don't know about. You could use your household income, child support, part-time income, and any other income that's readily available to you on the application. As for the employment, just make sure you're putting your current employer, and for God's sake, if you're self-employed, do not put self-employed. This raises a red flag to the credit bureaus and to Capital One themselves. What you could do is put the name of your company. So for example, I would put Confident Consulting Corp. I wouldn't put self-employed because that's going to raise a questionable red flag, which we don't want to happen. Now this next part is by far the most important, because if you mess up this next process, it's going to be the difference of a hard credit check and a soft credit check, which will not hurt your credit score. All right, after you update the Capital One app, after you update the computer, the settings, income, and employment, you want to proceed to the little chat feature. I'll put something on the screen here. You want to type in credit increase. This is going to engage a form. After you click that little form, it's going to ask you for the things that I just mentioned. Again, it's going to ask for income and employment. You want to make sure it matches what you put in the settings. If you don't, it's going to raise that little red flaggy again, which we don't want. Then it's going to ask you things like, hey, how much do you spend per month on your rent or mortgage? I recommend 30% or less of your monthly income. Otherwise, again, it's going to raise a red flag. They're going to want to know why you're extended farther than you are. And I get it. In this economy, most people are going through some things, myself included. So again, 30% or less of your monthly income should be put as your rent or your mortgage. And if it's more than that, I apologize, I get it. People, for the best chance of approval. And for credit card spend, you want to make sure that you're going to 10% or less of your monthly income. Again, 10% or less of your monthly income. if your income is $1,000, you shouldn't be putting that you spend $1,000 on your credit card per month. No, Capital One doesn't find this cool. No, Capital One doesn't think you're rich. They're going to say, why is this idiot putting that amount? Why on earth is he going to think that I'm going to give him an increase? You have to put yourself in the bank's shoes. Yes, their agenda is to ultimately make money on interest, but they don't make any money if you don't pay anything back. So you have to make it sexy and attractive to them. And the way to do that is by putting 10% or less of your monthly income in that box. So at this point, we should have our employer updated, our income updated, we should have our monthly mortgage or rent updated, we should have our monthly credit card spends updated. And I'm about to cry because I just left out the most important part of the video. I meant to put this in the beginning. But if you have a Capital One secured MasterCard or any of their starter credit cards, I recommend checking out my last video, which shows you how to upgrade that card without hurting your score way before asking for an increase. Because look, if you get stuck with that credit card and a higher credit limit, you are now stuck in quicksand with that card, because eventually you're going to drown with the starter card and there's going to be no way up the ladder, which is the ultimate goal. But if you have any other credit card from the Quicksilver and up without being a secured credit card, then I recommend clicking that little button on the application and applying for the credit increase. I really hope this video was helpful. If it was, consider subscribing, consider liking this video, and if this worked for you, please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. See you next time. Thank you so much for watching.